The views and opinions expressed do not necessarily represent those of Access Fort Wayne, the Allen County Public Library, or any other supporting group. Access Fort Wayne is a department of the Allen County Public Library. If you or anyone you know might be interested in making a television show, please call 260-421-1250.
Hi, Dr. Rudy Cashman. Welcome to the Mind, Body, Spirit Show. I think you will find this very interesting because what I will be speaking about today you can apply to life, to your family. I wrote a book about this, so you can get it on Amazon, and I'm not interested in selling books, but it would be a great book to read because it's based just about everything that could happen to you in life. And really what I had in mind, and let me just, the summary in the back a little bit. My extensive reading of the books of philosophy, religion, science, and experiencing life for 68 years when I first wrote this. I'm a little older now. Brought me to some conclusions. And through my powers of observation, experience, without having to make a number of assumptions, I've decided that there is indeed a spirit in the universe. You can call it God, which a lot of people would, including myself, a universal force, an energy in the universe, perhaps a spirit, which resulted in me writing what I call the 20 prescriptions for leading the good life. And I think it would be excellent if you would post these prescriptions. I even wrote them out. You can get them from me. Or better yet, to read some stories about it in this book called The Call of Life. And the 20 prescriptions are also posted in our community. You can see it right there on Welch Street in front of the Criminal Justice Building for Children. But actually, I meant to post it in front of the courthouse, but it wouldn't let me. So I put it where I could. And those prescriptions are written on those posts you see in the side of this beautiful statue. If you ever go down Wall Street, turn off there right at the entrance of that beautiful building, of the Allen County Justice Building, you can see that statue. Sit down, there are flowers there, read the prescriptions, and maybe have some of your kids with you. And I'm going to go through those one by one here a little bit. If you have your child or yourself memorize those and maybe lead your life somewhat accordingly, you're going to have a wonderful life. You probably live to be 100 and smile most of the time and be playing pickleball with me or taking tap dance lesson because you're enjoying life so much. And so let's go through these 20 prescriptions a little bit. I even wrote one for children, kid scripts. So a coloring book so that a child who really second, third, first grade could you color these in and learn something about what is a good person. And it'll be from health to philosophy. And let's get going here. Treat others as you would like to be treated. That's number one. I have found that to be extremely useful. Matter of fact, after my first 6 months in practice of neurosurgery in Fort Wayne on New Year's Eve, my partner, who was in charge of the practice, walked in at 7 p.m. New Year's Eve, no phone call. I thought he coming to see me, give me a bonus, but he fired me. Yes. Can you imagine what I went through? So I decided within a week or two, maybe the next day, I would never treat a person like that, especially since there wasn't a good reason for it. So that I kind of stimulated me to always to be very kind to people, which I was, I think, to begin with a little bit. I'm even kind to the animals. That's one of my prescriptions. Yeah, I hug my animals every day, and my family. But kindness begets kindness, and that's my point. Even if you don't totally agree with that person, but if you're kind to them, like you politically might disagree, for example, is that they're more likely to listen to you if you're kind to begin with. So here's a good one too. I set out to find a friend, okay, but couldn't find one. I set out to be a friend, and friends were everywhere. Isn't that interesting? In my practice of neurosurgery, I treated people that I cured, some from an injury, might have been paralyzed, some died from an accident. But when I spoke to the people, I always came from kindness. And I found that even in the face of death, people responded very well to me, because sometimes I cried with them, sometimes I hug them. So kindness begets kindness, and that's extremely important in a family. Let me give you another quote. Constant kindness can accomplish much. As the sun makes the ice melt, kindness causes misunderstanding, mistrust, and hostility to evaporate. Albert Schweitzer, it's a quote from him. Albert Schweitzer was a German doctor around 1910. In those years, he went to Africa, and he started a hospital in the Congo, and a very kind person, and he helped a lot of people. And those were very difficult times. And so that's prescription number one. My prescription number two is be honest, do not lie, cheat, or steal. Make your word your bond. If you tell lies all the time, your family, your friends, they'll know it after a while. And you wouldn't want to be known for that, okay? So honesty is the first chapter in the book of wisdom. Thomas Jefferson said that. Never esteem anything as an advantage to thee that shall make thee break thy word or lose thy self-respect. Marcus Aurelius. If you're lying all the time, they'll figure it out, and you'll be known for that. Here's another quote. A gentleman is one who keeps his promises to those who cannot enforce them. Very interesting. Years ago, I met a Sheriff Archie. He was head of the police in Marion, Indiana, a black gentleman. The county was not used to having a black sheriff, but we became friends. And I noticed he was really loved in the community. He would even face, obviously, criminals. But in spite of what they did, he was kind to them. He changed many of them. And he came to my lectures, and I even did some TV shows with him, and a real gentleman. And here's one, J. Edgar Hoover, who used to be head of the FBI. Someone asked him, what would you tell a son one of your kids, he replied, above all, I would teach him to tell the truth. Truth-telling, I have found, is the key to a responsible citizenship. The thousands of criminals I have seen in 40 years of law enforcement, this is J. Edgar Hoover speaking, had one thing in common. Every single one of them was a liar. Maybe their parents lied to each other. Who knows their circumstance? But it seems to be a common denominator where this child eventually became a criminal. And in my practice of medicine, it really helped me that I related to my patients in an honest manner. I gave them choices. I learned a lot about the mind-body connection, how stress affects people, that they were not always what their x-ray showed. It's what they were thinking. I knew a lot about that in medicine even today. Doesn't realize many times that this is connected to the human body through hormones and neurotransmitters, and I always treated my patients like that. So I always tried conservative management, avoided surgery if necessary, tried to change their health habits, and it wasn't always easy. But I worked with them in an honest manner, and they knew it too. I could tell that. And I've had people like I was the main speaker at the Martin Luther King Day one time in Fort Wayne, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and I was trying to teach the community about good health habits, and all of a sudden, during my speech, 5 or 6 girls stood up and they pointed their finger at me, and they said, "We know, Dr. Cashman, you speak the truth." I never forgot that. That meant more to me than anything. And they realized, I think from my manner or things maybe I've done in the past, I've been part of peace marches in town. Maybe they put it all together. I don't know. And here's Judge Charles Pratt, who I think just retired, a judge in town, a wonderful judge. And here's a quote from him: "Honesty is central to my faith." And he practiced his faith on the people he was seeing on the bench, and he was a judge. So we always took in consideration your life and why things happen and try to change you. And here's a quote from Sheriff Archie, who I already mentioned. This prescription, and he really worked with me on these 20 prescriptions. He said, "This prescription is instilled in me by my parents." They told him about honesty. "I was always told to be honest and truthful, and good things will come to you. God smiles on those who live right." Sheriff Otis Archie. If you watch the show, Sheriff, please call me. I know you moved to California. This may not get you, but I'd love to see how you are doing. Okay. All right. Let's go on to number 3. Treat life with care. Avoid risky behavior. This is a big one because having been a neurosurgeon, a lot of times I saw the results of risky behavior. People doing things, motorcycles at high speed, for example, drunken driving, for example. I saw the products of that, so I've been always a little bit more of a scaredy cat, I think, than other people. But so let me give you a quote from G.K. Chesterton. courage is almost a contradiction in terms. Your courage, okay? It means a strong desire to live, to stay alive, okay? Taking the form of readiness to die. So we got to take a little bit of risk. I'm driving a car. I'm not drinking. I'm not going fast, but I'm taking a little bit of risk. I play pickleball where I could trip and fall and break something. So I take a little bit of risk, but I try to calculate the risk. Try to calculate the risk in my mind. Things that I need to enjoy life, but not to do something excessive, okay? So courage, from Mark Twain, let me give you another quote. Courage is a resistance to fear, okay? Mastery of fear, not abstinence of fear. In other words, some of the things that you do, realize there's some risk, but some things are reasonable, okay? Accept creature, be part coward. It is not a compliment to say it is brave. So there's a fine line there, and you have to learn what that might be. So it's difficult sometimes to figure out what is indeed risky. But let's use some examples. Drugs and alcohol, that's risky behavior, okay? And alcohol clearly affects your brain. If you're going to drink and drive, you may kill other people, you may kill yourself, your family may not have anyone to take care of them. So consumption of alcohol and to go skiing or go playing a sport or walking down a hill, risky behavior. And consumption of alcohol and driving is the most common cause of an accident. Drunk driving is the most common cause. So that we don't put a seatbelt on is a risky behavior. Maybe when you think in terms of today's world, not to get vaccinated is risky behavior. Who's dying right now? 99%, the non-vaccinated. We get vaccinated for polio and other diseases. Why aren't we resisting vaccination for this coronavirus 19? And part of the risky behavior, incidentally, is health. If you're a diabetic and have more sugar in a cell, you are much more likely to die from the virus. 90% of the people that died in New York had some evidence of diabetes. Why is the government, either party, us doctors, not telling you every visit? Many more people die from the complication of diabetes than even the virus. I'm for vaccination, big time. We all should be vaccinated. I've been vaccinated. If you don't get vaccinated, you could kill your friends, your spouse, your children. That's risky behavior. That is risky behavior. And here's another one for you. Many families own guns. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have a gun in the house, but the majority of people that die from accidents from guns are children in the house of gun owners. They're not locked up. They're drinking and playing with it, and accidents happen. Kids find it, take the gun, accidentally shoot themselves. It happens every day. 4 children a day die in the United States from accidental shootings of a gun that mother or father bought and did not properly lock up or keep the ammunition from the gun separate. So think about that. It's not an anti-gun statement. I didn't say anything against owning a gun, but you must properly take care of it. It's risky behavior not to properly take care of it, okay? other things, skiing down a mountain, for example. You need to be trained for that. And like I said, I'm a little bit more of a risk-averse individual. I don't go skiing. I didn't say that it is horrible risk, but it's more risky. Yeah, and I've have family members who are also neurosurgeons, and they're going down the mountain there. You know, they break something, they're not going to work. Not that they listen to me, okay? I'm saying this is a thing of discussion inside a family. And when I told you about the firearms things, I'm just reading a quote out of my book here. 8 children or teenagers are killed by firearms each day. An American child is 12 times more likely to die from gunfire than a child in any other industrialized nation. And when I read this weekend in the newspaper that in Chicago there were 66 people who were shot and 7 died, and 3 of those were children. Yeah, there's risky behavior, but it's complex. I just want you to be aware of it. And so, as Mark Twain said, we need to have courage to face, resist, and master our fears. But there's a limit. A lot of people are texting and driving. They walk in front of me while they're texting away and don't even look up that my car is coming. That's risky behavior, and I see it all the time. People walking down the street, approaching the stop sign, are texting away. That's risky behavior. And let's go to number 4, because I want to get through these 20 before the hour is up, and that may be difficult. Practice showing respect for authority, parents, teachers, police, and government. And to mention police first, they have a badge, they are in charge, they're carrying weapons, now they have some cameras, but even if you don't agree as to what they're doing, if it's within reason, show them respect. They're policemen. If you don't like something they did, write a note, call, or go to the police station and report them. They get about 5 or 10 of these reports. They may not have a job. Not in every police force, but again, you would have some influence. Obviously, if you're being choked to death, that's a different story. Okay, I'm talking about, but show them some respect. Just show your parents some respect, even if you don't agree with what they're doing. But if they're abusing you, you got to let somebody know outside the family. Maybe call 911. They can't abuse you, but try to show them some respect. You may not agree with what their habits are, but they're still your family. So to keep peace in the family, try to show them respect. But any abuse is reported quickly. I mean, maybe that day or the next day. Okay? And the same with teachers. The teacher is in charge of your class. Show them respect of the teacher. If you don't like something they did or said, tell your parents, talk to the principal. That'd be the best way, I think, to handle it. And the same with the government. Show them some respect. A lot of times we don't agree with what they're doing, then vote them out of office. This is a democracy. Then gather up the votes, inform other people, and vote them out of office, I think would be a good way. And the government many times does things that you just totally don't agree with. But you don't want to gather 10 or 20 people and storm the White House like we're seeing today, vote the people out of office that you don't like. I mean, that's the way I think I would kind of look at it, because we have people all over the world showing no respect to their police and their government, and they're rioting, and they're trying to use weapons and destroy the person instead of the word of mouth, writing things, writing letters to the editors, and voting them out of office. So without feeling his respect, what is that distinguish man from a beast? Okay? And I think this is, although I must say myself being oriented towards nature, I bird feeders, and I've got all kind of animals coming there, from birds to eagles to deer to woodchucks, to you name it. They live. When I read my books in the morning, they're all out there. And you know something? I have food out there, corn out there. They're showing respect to each other. I don't see animals attacking each other, except occasional fox comes in or eagle comes down. I mean, that's the way they live. But the majority of animals show respect to each other, especially their children. I see them, ducks and geese and woodchucks, and they show love to each other. They show respect to each other. They show respect to me. I go out there and they wave their tails at me because I'm giving them food. But I respect them and they respect me. So he that respects not is not respected. If you have some respect for people as they are, you can be more effective in helping them to become better than they are. Now, that's the point. There's some people whose habits you may not like, but if you want to change them, if you show them some respect and then slowly teach them as what the way you would like them to be, or to watch your behavior, that might get the job done. So he that respects not is not respected, okay? Here's an interesting quote. Good families and even great families are off track 90% of the time, says Stephen Covey, a best-selling author. The key is that they have a sense of destination. They have a dream as to where they're heading, where they are going. So to establish goals and dreams and live life accordingly, I think is a good thing. So, and they keep coming back time and time again. They may go off track, but they get pulled back again. That's the reason I think posting these 20 prescriptions on a refrigerator or in your kid's room has value, because this is not a religion. It's a code of behavior, but it leads to good health and a good social cohesion, and it leads to good life. That's why I call it the call of life. I even had a song written to it. Yeah, in back of this book, there's a CD in there that is quite melodious. I don't have time to sing it to you today, though. But I was thinking about it. I was thinking about it. So let's go to number 5. Do not let physical or mental abuse go unnoticed. Remember, I kind of talked about this before. If there is abuse going on, say in your neighbor's house or in your own house, it has to be reported. Being a neurosurgeon for 44 years, but only 39 years old for the 46th time. And I saw a lot of abused children, adults too, elderly people. And I tell you, report it right away. And if you do not, if something isn't done right away, you know what will happen? Authorities will come in and take the children out of the home. I saw a mother lose 4 children one day. I saw the authorities walk in and just take them away. Yeah. So the laws have changed, and they are good. Maybe they're almost too good. But those kids will be adopted or somewhere else, or living in a children's nursing home for a little while, and then people usually adopt them, and you won't have your kids anymore. Child abuse is not tolerated because it can result in death. And I've seen them so bad, battered children so bad that they had tracheostomies in place, had to be in a respirator the rest of their life, were demented, lost most of their brain, and just destroyed by abuse. And a person that's doing it, a lot of times, is having a mental problem. They may not know what they're doing. Sometimes it's done in an alcoholic rage, for example. But if you report it right away, maybe you can prevent it from progressing. So it's better to protest than to accept injustice, okay? He injures the good, but who spares the bad, okay? Most of my career is by Otis Archie, Sheriff, again, Grant County, Indiana. Most of my career has been spent in law enforcement, and I am a big advocate for reporting and ceasing violence, okay? I think it's very important because, man, I've seen the products from severely injured people, adults too. Mm-hmm. There are people who mistreat their parents, that steal their money, steal their checks, and sometimes resulting in disability and death. This is not uncommon. So if you see that occurring, report it. Very important. Matter of fact, now the law is such, it's illegal not to report it. If you saw it and they figured out you saw it, didn't report it, you could have trouble with the law. Mm-hmm. State of Indiana. That's a law now. So love cannot remain by itself. It has no meaning. Love has to be put into action. That action is service. That's from Mother Teresa, okay? And our most basic common link is that we all inhabit the planet. We all breathe the same air. We all cherish our children's future. And we're all moral. John F. Kennedy made this profound statement. And this is a very important. Here's another one. I can't go through all of these, but teach your child, for example, to avoid abuse when they're out in the public. Teach them not to get in a car unless someone told you to do it. In the family, not a stranger, okay? Stay away from anyone who follows you on foot or is in a car. You do not need to get near a car to talk to people inside. Grown-ups should not be asking you for directions or to look for a lost puppy. That's a trick to get you to get in their car to kidnap you, and they may kill you. And it's happened many times. You should use the buddy system and never go places alone. Never hitchhike or try to get a ride with someone unless your parents have told you it's okay to ride with them. Okay? Tell anyone who wants to take your picture, no. Tell your parents or teacher about it. And there's about 12 of these, and they are in the Call of Life book, and maybe you need to get hold of this book and read them. And like I said, there's a lot of stories about them. And so this is very important to teach your child. So stay with your kid. Don't let your kid out. Keep an eye on them. I saw a mother the other day walking with two children ahead of them going into a building, and the two kids get whacked by the door. Take them by the hand, watch the doors, and keep an eye on the strangers. I think that this is very important. Let's go to number 6. We better get going if we're going to get through a lot of these. Read a book regularly. This is a big one. This is a big one. I do it all the time. You won't believe this. My basement, 1,500 books. You don't have to have that many, but it's a wonderful habit to teach. And especially if an adult or a child is living in a very poor situation, in which a number of kids are, reading a book can carry them across the world like that. Oprah Winfrey used to read in a closet because her parents and sisters were thinking differently than she was thinking, and she can use their imagination. There's a story in here about a boy whose parents abused him. They wouldn't let him go to school. They finally died, and he lived in the mountains by himself in a cabin, ate food from the garden, but he traveled across the world by reading, and he read all the time. That finally he was looking for a job, but he had no schooling, so they would not hire him. So they gave him a test, and they found out that it appeared he could have graduated from college, and he was just in high school. He had read the library. He started at A, and all the way read through the whole. He read the whole library. He found out how to get downtown. To get it, actually, Thomas Edison did the same thing. Thomas Edison, I think, went to school for 3 months or something. Yeah, he read the library from the whole thing, and get a tremendous education. I didn't suggest don't go to school, but reading is really a good thing. In this chapter, there's a gentleman named Landrum, who I met in Naples, Florida. I used to play. He was a full-time professor at International College in Naples, Florida, where he teaches courses on management strategy. So he was extremely well-read. So I had him write about 10 pages in this book. I can't read you the whole darn thing, but it is so beautiful. He is so beautiful. And he speaks about using your imagination, and you can read yourself across the world without spending a dime. Don't have to take a boat trip. You don't have to fly there. You don't have to catch the diseases the country has. You can just read about them. So what does he say? Books are one of the easiest means to escape into such a fantasy land where Shangri-La is just a page away. How beautiful. I mean, how beautiful. Travel is easy and cheap. Later, I'll tell you a story about a boy who never left his mountain shack. Remember, I told you about that. That's the boy that traveled across the world in books. And when tested, this kid never had parents or even a pair of shoes, but he knew more Greek classics than Greek scholars. When asked how he knew so much about Europe and the Middle East, he said, I visit them daily through books. So read a book regularly. But I would just love it if you would take the time and read this book and read this part by Landrum. It is beautiful. I read it again this morning with a cup of coffee, and I hope everyone has the privilege of reading this. So greatness is often hidden in the heroes and messengers. Books fuel the soul and reduce anxiety. This is all Landrum speaking about it. Number 7, and this is interesting, be tolerant of others' beliefs. When we see with 9/11 coming up again, and what was this all about? It was about terrorist groups using religion to convince the people to blow up the world. The Towers in New York City, which was my home years ago, was using terroristic ideas, but using in the name of religion, and we need to show tolerance to other religions, and not fight each other. And remember, it's a belief. I believe but it's a belief system. So to try to rule the world and tell them, I know for certain this is the only existence, and we all should believe this. That's what's going on a little bit in this country, even right now, about the virus, okay, and the political systems. So to know oneself is wisdom, but to know one's neighbor is genius. If we cannot end our differences, at least we can help make the world safe for diversity. John F. Kennedy. I think we need to really, everyone needs to be taught that your own belief system is respected, but it is yours. Not everyone has to believe the same thing, okay? It's a good thing to demand liberty for ourselves and for those who agree with us, but it's a better thing and a rare thing to give liberty to others who do not agree with us. How about that? To listen to them, to show respect to what they have to say, maybe to tell us a little bit about their religion, but to respect it, to honor it. So the capacity for or practice of recognizing and respecting the opinions, practice, or behavior of others. I mean, how important is that, okay? And the permissible deviation from a specific value of structure and dimension, not just to say, I am the truth. I only have the truth. This results in conflict because we don't know that for certain. And we're still at risk at that today. But when you just think of Afghanistan, I mean, certainly to go after the people that blew up the tower seems like a reasonable thing. But we never really changed the country. Somewhat, we did, I think somewhat. A great deal we still don't know yet because we didn't really base it on their basic beliefs. We probably should have read the Quran a little more and see what they believe. It's complex. I don't have any answers there. But I'm just saying, be open-minded, discuss it. 9/11 is coming up, and is something going to happen because of what somebody else believed is a fact, and they want us to change and to blow up something? I don't know. I hope not. And so let's go to number 8. Express honor, love, and respect for your family. I was the same kind of father as I was a Baptist. I played by the ear. No, a harpist. I misread that. Okay. I was the same kind of father as I was a harpist. I played by ear. Harpo Marx said that. Well, you know, I play the piano, saxophone, tap dance. And I found out the best way to give advice to your children is to find out what they want, then advise them to do it. Harry S. Truman. Well, I don't know about that, but to tell them what to do or what not to do. But find out what their thought process are. Odds are their thought process is what is on their device now. It may not be you. So find out what they're watching. This can be dangerous. A lot of people, I think, get hooked into this lack of vaccination by what they're watching on their electronic equipment. It's difficult. So you should limit your kid probably from how long they're watching it every day. I know one of my sons has his kids regulated. You can only watch it 1 hour a day. They don't sit there all day, and because you can brainwash somebody hours, day or two, easily a weekend, maybe 4 hours would do it. You could brainwash somebody, change their thought process. So that's quite dangerous. What's going on today, and so to show respect to what is the family? Just your mother and father? No, it's a community around you. That's your family, your grandparents, and just everyone together, and show them some respect. Maybe find out what they have learned. They're older than you are. They may have some wisdom in them that interests you, and you may learn things that you don't want to do, things that you do. And but one of the nice things that I used to do, didn't quit doing after a while because I got too busy, is after a work day, I had all my kids sitting around the table, my wife and I, and we'd go one person to the next and let them talk and tell us about their day or something they wanted to know. That's a good habit. I quit doing it after a while. I just got too busy. That was a mistake. I think to sit around the table and let every child speak and parent, and if there's something you don't like they're doing, very gently explain why that might not be a good idea, or if they're doing something great, they get an A on a test, to really compliment them, and this sort of thing. And maybe have the Call to Life book, or if they didn't do something, point out one of the prescriptions. You violated one of the prescriptions to lead a good life. That's the reason I encourage you to read the book, so that you get some stories readily available. But to have these prescriptions memorized, I know some families that have that actually done, and they thank me for it. I'm walking through downtown, they come up to me and says, my kids have these 20 prescriptions memorized on the refrigerator. That's how we lead our life. Like I said, this is not a religion. It's a way of having a great life, a call of life. When this day and age, if education occurs off the internet, Facebook, television, it may not be good. You go to church for a week, and it may not be enough. I encourage you to take your kids to church. My mother sent me to the church in New York City, and I'm very grateful. I learned a lot of things there that lasted throughout my life. So be proactive. Begin with the end in mind when you're teaching your children. So the next prescription, make a commitment to continue education throughout your life. And this, I personally have that done. I still remember 1,500 books in my basement. I read a book every 3 days. You don't have to do that. But I think it to be a good habit. Keep the lamp burning. We have to keep pouring oil on it, Mother Teresa. Okay? I mean, every week, I take a piano lesson, tap dance lesson. I try to do something to improve my pickleball. I look at YouTube. I take a lesson every couple of weeks, and look at certain YouTube shows, because they're readily available and they can improve my pickleball game. And I have TV shows, radio shows. I didn't ask you to do that, but pick out something that you like, and keep on getting educated about it. And don't stop at any age. Remember, I'm 39 for the 46th time. Take no pills, okay? And so lifelong learning. I want you to participate in that, in your when you exercise in your body, but also your brain. You're more likely to have a sharp brain. When you're 90 years old, you may have a good memory. You might be able to participate In dancing, I take tap dancing, for example, which I just love. So here's one I think is very important. Number 10, we're not going to get through all 20, but here's one. Show respect for all life, human and animal. I must admit, I'm sort of big on that. Maybe even excessive, okay? I don't even like to eat an animal, but I'll eat some chicken. But I know what they do to animals, put them on your plate. I read those books, and you think twice about it. Remember, I got all these bird feeders, and I got all these animals coming up, including a woodchuck. I have had a woodchuck living in my house for 15 years. He's never destroyed my house. He smiles at me when I'm walking outside. I come out while I'm feeding the bird feeders, and the corn I put on the floor. And then I take a walk through nature. I have a pond, fortunately, out there, and beautiful trees, and I look at the trees. I might even sing to the birds. The birds sing back to me, so I whistle at them. You might say, Rudy, you're excessive. No, I relate to nature. I relate to the animals. I think we are. When you think back through evolution, we are indeed all related. The plants in the ground, the animals, and us that eat the plants, and us humans, we're all related. Our genes, we've got 20,000 genes, but an earthworm, what's it got, 10,000? I mean, so it's close, it's close. So show them respect. He that respects not just, is not respected. And I see the animals showing more respect to their children than we humans show our children. Yeah, I never see animals that I've seen, their young ones, show disrespect for each other. It's only other animals that may come along, like a fox occasionally grabs somebody, or an eagle will grab a little duck. But the mother and father and the ducks themselves, I don't show them disrespect. So it's in nature and through evolution. That we should respect the animals, and personally, I couldn't kill a mouse. I realize that's excessive, okay? But most animals, show them respect. When I sleep at night, I've got a Braveheart, my cat, sleeping right here. I think he feels my heartbeat, and as soon as I'm home, he lets me know he's there. Give me some food. As soon as I've done that, he gets on my lap. But that makes life more fun to have. And we see a lot of people walking with their animals today and showing them a tremendous respect. So whoever is kind to creatures of God is kind to himself. Muhammad, that's from Muhammad, a nice quote, a very nice quote. 11, avoid violence, practice nonviolence, support peace. And I have a poem here by St. Francis of Assisi. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, it's in this book, but Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. When there's hatred, let me love. When there's injury, pardon. When there's doubt, faith. Interesting enough, I saw the other day that St. Francis College in town is going to start a public health school. Remember, it's St. Francis of Assisi. Same guy. He lived in the 12th century, and he based a lot of his feelings on a doctor he read about, Dr. Domain, who out of the 3rd century. I just stopped at St. Francis today to see if they could teach some of my things on diabetes, for example, part of that public health thing. And there was a statue there of St. Francis, and I said hi to him. So here I'm reading from his. So he was big time on avoiding violence, practicing nonviolence. Excellent reference. And I visited his town when I was in Italy on a trip, and I hired a limo driver, and he took my wife and I to his town of Assisi. I touched his coffin. There was a sign there not to do that, but I'll admit I did it. And they wouldn't let my wife in because she had on white shorts, but she got a toga, put it on, and she also was in the room. So we're showing a lot of respect. He taught to avoid violence, practice nonviolence, support peace, and we need to stop these wars we keep on having, especially based on differences in religion. But it's hard not to do something when they're blowing your buildings up. So I hope in the future things might be better, but we have to be vigilant. Okay, and the air of an argument or discussion should not be victory, but progress. Maybe in Afghanistan we didn't have a victory there, but we did have a little progress. Women did develop some rights, but now that we're out of there, I read in the paper today that they're abusing some women again, but I will bet you they will demonstrate, and there has been some change. I bet you there have been some changes. We just don't know about them. And and I have in this book here some prayers for peace. They're so long I can't read them to you. And but I try to get these 20 prescriptions in front of Gulf Coast University on the campus. But actually in this town, if you go down Wells Street in front of the Criminal Justice Building for Children are my 20 prescriptions on a statue. Sit there, read them on a beautiful day. There'll be flowers there. Use your imagination a little bit. I tried to put it at Gulf Coast, but I couldn't get it there. I'm always trying. Number 12, celebrate our differences, sex, race, background, appearance, and disabilities. You can realize that I'm that way, considering the people I associate with and deal with. So I don't see differences in race and color myself, and I've led my life accordingly. We're all creatures of the universe. So I'm sort of coming to the end of this. So the last one that I have on there is respect the environment. You know that already, that I respect the environment for how I deal with nature. Also, this book on kids scripts, this is something you could be a nice present for a young child. And you can get it on Amazon or find me out. And it has the 20 prescriptions, but done in cartoon style, done by Dan Lynch, who was excellent cartoonist for the Journal Gazette. He's retired. He did that for me. In some ways, some of these are humorous, but they can educate a very young child. The younger you teach them, the better kids that they will be. So, in summary, I hope you get a hold of these 20 prescriptions, post them in your kid's room or on the refrigerator. They're not promoting anyone's religion. It's diversity. It's about the spirit of the universe, call it God or the spirit. You will have a better family. Maybe just do it for yourself. I follow them 100%? Probably not. But I always try to correct myself and learn from good things I've done, bad things I may have done. But so far it seems to be working. You know, age 39 for the 46th time, and no pills, play pickleball, tap dance. Anyway, thanks for listening. I love you. That's the reason I do this. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching the show. Bye-bye.